Table 176 of the main estimates outlines $2.4 billion in transfer payments to the Department of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities. What portion will be allotted to British Columbia?
The Honourable Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I can get the member that detailed answer shortly. I don't have it at my fingertips, but I can do that.
Member.
Table 176, $440 million is allocated to the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund. How much will British Columbia receive?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund has already provided billions, almost $3 billion in support across Canada to 100.
The Honourable Member.
What portion of the $16 million of the Supporting Climate Resilient Infrastructure Initiative will British Columbia receive?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, the typical coverage across the country is per capita, but there are variations in that depending on the province and certainly the issues with disasters.
Honourable Member.
The Liberal Party's platform promised additional funding for disaster mitigation and recovery. What is the total and how much will BC receive?
Honourable Minister.
Yeah, for this time period, Mr. Chair, $643.8 million is the amount that is put forward for the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund.
Member.
Does the Minister agree that the federal government has a responsibility in aiding communities that have suffered from a natural disaster and need additional infrastructure funding?
The Honourable Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Well, certainly this government is committed to supporting communities. That's why this fund exists, to be able to make the infrastructure more resilient and support communities.
The Honourable Member.
Does the Minister agree that Abbotsford plays a critical role in BC's food security?
The Honourable Minister.
To the Chair, I used to farm very close to Abbotsford, so I'm keenly aware of the challenges in the Fraser Valley and the disasters that have affected the region.
The Honourable Member.
Does the Minister acknowledge that CN Rail, the CP Rail, an international airport, Southern Rail, a border crossing, and Highway 1 are all present in Abbotsford and are critical to Canada's natural interests and the operation of our supply chains?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I appreciate the member pointing out the critical importance of the infrastructure that is in the Fraser Valley on the south coast of BC and how important it is to the rest of Canada.
The Honourable Member.
Is the Minister aware that Abbotsford was impacted by floods in 2021, one of the most costly disasters in the history of Canada? Is the Minister aware that in the fall economic statement of the previous Parliament, over $5 billion was allocated to disaster recovery efforts in the province of British Columbia?
Honourable Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I am aware that there has been funding allocated for the disaster mitigation and adaptation in the Fraser Valley, which has obviously been through some tough disasters in recent years.
Honourable Member.
Does the Minister agree that Abbotsford should be aided by the federal government to rebuild their infrastructure to account for natural disasters and climate change?
Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think we can all agree that communities affected across Canada, including Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley, need some.
Honourable Member.
Can the Minister please outline to this House which government program Abbotsford should apply to receive its portion of the main estimates being debated here tonight?
The Honourable Minister has less than 15 seconds.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just to outline that the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund is for prevention of these disasters and more resilient infrastructure to prevent future problems.
Time has elapsed.